Big hello, welcome to Friday, and jumping in with today's video. And this is really around the courage to be you. And often this can be a really big challenge to ourselves, particularly when we feel a deep loyalty to others, a deep wanting to make others happy because it lights our heart up. And generally, this really is one of the biggest challenges, I think, for people that are deeply sensitive and deeply care about others. So the bigger the heart, often this can be one of the biggest challenges, simply because, good morning, say hello if you're jumping on. I don't know why, but Facebook is not showing me names yet, but please say hello. And of course, as always, jump in, ask a question if this is something that resonates for you, or you're wanting to find out a little bit more about this as well. The courage to be you. If we are deeply sensitive, one of the challenges is that you feel the needs of others around you deeply. You feel what it is that they perhaps need. Perhaps you are able to actually anticipate what it is they need, or know what they need even before they even know what they need. And this can be a really big challenge, because often it leads to feeling overly responsible and wanting to make everyone happy. And this is also a big challenge if you are deeply sensitive to other people's energy, or you're affected by other people's energy, because it feels better to make somebody else happy, so you're not dealing with the fallout of other people's energy, right? So this is where this can kind of get very deeply enmeshed, and we get pretty well trained in this from society as well. Good morning, Sal. Hey, Helen. Lovely to have you guys on. And so this is a really big challenge, because it can lead ultimately to burnout. It can lead to fatigue. It can lead to exhaustion. But not only that, we can get 5 or 10 years down the track and feel so empty internally, simply because we've actually not tuned into what is right for ourselves, what is right, what lights us up, what fills our heart, what we really need in that moment. And most of society goes, well, you can't be selfish, you have to be loving. And one of my greatest lessons has been, and continual lessons I might add, it keeps getting represented to me in so many different ways, because I still have those moments, definitely, where I'm wanting to please others, or I want to take care of others, and it is not sustainable for me at times. When it's coming from the right place, when I feel aligned, when I feel my bucket is 100% full and I'm overflowing, I can definitely give from that place. And in fact, I want to. It feels joyous. But when we do things to please others out of guilt or shame, or I'm not going to be loved, or I'm not going to be accepted. Hey Dee, lovely to have you on. Hey Linda, lovely to have you on. Yeah, absolutely, Sal. And I think, it's a constant evolving thing of letting go of those layers, those masks, the facades sometimes that we put up, perhaps the happy face on top of the empty fuel tank that can sometimes happen, where if you ignore that for long enough, that's burnout right there. And this is where, like, it really can occur at a very deep subconscious level, and that's kind of like what I've been working through with myself as well. Is there's a deep-seated fear that I won't be loved, accepted, if I truly am expressing what my truest needs are, or I'm just like feeling blah and I don't want to be happy and bubbly. And for me to be that, then it feels really scary, because most people see me as this happy, bubbly, always vibrant, always, this go-getter, self-driven, self-motivated. And quite frankly, lately, I've not been feeling like that. I've been moving through some really deep internal stuff. And I think it's really good to be able to step back and give ourselves permission. In fact, it's imperative that we give ourselves permission to feel all the feels, to be exactly where we are emotionally, because otherwise it takes even more energy to suppress all of that, to push that down, and to pretend that we're okay, or to pretend that, we're totally vibrant like all the time. And it really is exhausting on our system. And perhaps, you're getting some loud messages either physically in your body. I journal every day. I tune into my body. I'm like, am I okay right now? Like, literally sit with yourself and ask yourself that, and ask yourself, am I happy? Because if you're not happy, that's a huge indicator indicator of your well-being. It's a huge indicator of things perhaps that aren't quite aligned for you, or you're saying yes when you really want to say no, and you're saying yes out of guilt or obligation or duty or a feeling of responsibility. Now, that's not to say that, you know, we just upend everything and go, well, too bad, like the world, like too bad, like I'm just gonna lay in bed all day, all right? But in fact, that may be what you need, and it's about creating the space and time and being able to inform your loved ones of what's going on underneath, what's going on at a deep level for you, to really be able to step into that and to actually give yourself first and foremost permission to do that. And I know that I'm scheduling some time off in the very near future as well, just to be with me, just not to need to be there for anybody else or in any other way. And again, you know, when some people might be like, well, that's too selfish to do that, or, you know, you're being selfish if you're doing that, or I can't possibly do that, my family needs me, or this needs me, or that needs me. And, you know, I can definitely relate. I've certainly had those times in my life where I've absolutely felt that, and I felt like I haven't been able to create that space. But long term, you will continue to burn out, and it is not sustainable to keep that up. So asking for help, asking for support when and where you need it is one of the most important things to really take care of your physical body. And like I said, if you are burning out, if you are adrenally fatigued, or you're just getting some pretty loud symptoms like you're procrastinating a lot, you feel like you really have to push yourself to motivate yourself, if you're feeling like blah or meh, like just can't be bothered doing anything, that is a huge signal of burnout. Another huge signal is if you are beating yourself up, if your inner critic, if your inner judge is super, super loud and you're looping, perhaps, you know, it might feel a little bit crazy or whatever, but if you are looping in perhaps a lot of negativity, or you have continual thoughts, or you're having a lot of white noise, or perhaps you're in the hypervigilant stage, which is go, 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 got to get it done, got to have this happen, and we feel like we can't stop and we can't breathe and we couldn't possibly rest, then you will continue to spiral if you stay in that energy. And when I say spiral, there's gonna come a day where you go to put your foot on the accelerator and there is honestly just nothing there to go. And it is scary, it is terrifying when that happens, particularly when you are used to putting your foot flat and just go, go, go and getting stuff done. So it's really, really important to listen to those internal signs and those subtle signs. And honestly, your emotions, how you're feeling day to day, are your greatest indicator. If you're noticing resistance, now resistance can kind of come up in a couple of different ways. Resistance can be, I really just don't want to do that thing because it's really not aligned for me. Or resistance can be, that's the right thing for me and it scares the crap out of me to actually step into that space, but it'll set me free on the other side. And sometimes it's difficult to discern which one's which. And often I think that we really believe, I've just got to push through this, or I've just got to do this, which is where we're trying to push ourselves to motivate ourselves, where long term it's that constant feeling like you're pushing. It's like somebody with their hands in your back, and like, what is our natural response? If you feel somebody's hands in your back going to push you forward, your natural response is to lean back into that and to resist that and say, get off me, like stop doing that, don't push me. We naturally resist it and it feels awful in our system. But honestly, when we're saying, well, I have to do this, or I should do this, or I'm obligated, or it's my duty, or I'm responsible. Now, duty can be a couple of different ways as well. Some people can take it from a really aligned space of it's my honor, it's my duty to be able to do this. Now, I'm not commenting on that one. The duty is like where I feel really obligated. It's really the energy of obligation. Hey, Brooke, lovely to have you on. And hey, Deanna, lovely to have you on. And Alyssa, lovely to have you on. Yes, and absolutely creating that space and time to reschedule, or to schedule in some time for you. You are the one that can create that. You are the one that controls your schedule or your diary. And I do know, like, there's been certain times in my life. I know at one point I was studying, I'd just become a brand new single mum. I was terrified around money, so I was working really hard. I was trying to activate my my business as well and get that going. So I was doing like practical and theory study and trying to start my business business. You know, there was a lot that I was juggling. But again, it's just noticing where is like the sprint perhaps, and where is the marathon, and knowing that you cannot continually sprint in life, which in fact is a marathon. It's okay to do short bursts, but you have to mitigate that on the other end. Like if I'm running retreats or anything like that, I will always schedule a couple of days afterwards just to, you know, recover, to take that time to mitigate all of those things. So I'll just read what Sal's got there. Sorry, I'll just put my glasses on. Yeah, so headaches are definitely an indication, particularly like neck tension, a lot of the stuff like across the shoulders, being overly responsible as well. And yeah, just looking and saying, yeah, am I happy? Am I okay? And really checking in with yourself around that. Yeah, that's so great, Sal. And great that you listen to your body, as we all need to do, because if we're not, all that stuff just keeps perpetuating, and eventually we end up with migraines or just long-term, really chronic, large illness. And, you know, one of the things of stress, one of the things of being under that constant pressure and pump is the survival fight flight response. So our ego survival mind gets activated, and we have a lot of acid running through our system, and that will create exhaustion, that will create lethargy within the muscles. Again, you know, just basic things like hydration, good food, but all of that tends to slip when we feel that we're under the pump. We may not be eating regularly, or we may be staying up late to get work done, or to get the other, you know, the housework done during the evening or during the night when all the kids are asleep. Like, there's so many different ways that this kind of plays out for people, but really having the courage to be you and put your hand up and say, this is not sustainable. Like, I cannot keep going. I cannot keep doing this. And if that's you and you're really struggling in this particular arena, please send me a PM. Let's have a chat about where you're currently at, what you're actually currently experiencing, because long term, this is so detrimental to your well-being. And like I said, if things do not change, and if you feel that there is no way out, that you cannot change things at the moment, we really need to speak, or at least please reach out. You know, if I don't resonate with you, please reach out to somebody, because often it is those deep unconscious beliefs around, I need to keep everyone happy, that can be locked in through certain traumas, or through certain key decisions that we've made through particular events as a child, where we only had a limited child's perspective, but because of the emotional intensity that we experienced in that moment, that thought, that belief, that feeling of I have to be responsible, or I have to take care of everybody, or my life feels out of control, so it must be my fault. Like, often that can be one of the things that comes up for kids, is if their parents are stressed or their parents, you know, are fighting, we can feel out of control with the experience. So by blaming ourselves, it's, even though it's not accurate and it's not true, but for a small child, it gives a feeling of sense of control, because if I can control my behavior, then maybe there's some hope for me to control my external circumstances. And when that gets locked in through trauma, when that gets locked in at a deep subconscious level of, this is who I need to be, because if not, I'm not going to be loved, I'm not going to be accepted, I'm not going to be valued in my family dynamics for being that can be super threatening to our inner child. And so our inner child keeps acting out in those moments, and that's where we feel that we feel reactive, we feel like we can't communicate our needs effectively. So all of these things, good morning Phil, lovely to have you on, all of these things really significantly impact our own like authentic happiness. And when I say authentic happiness, not just, woohoo, I got the new boat, or I got the new car, or I got the new house, or I've found my great relationship. It's not that like fleeting moment of happiness of, hey, I got the goal. It's that long-term, deep-seated, calm, peace, knowing that you're living your life from the truest place of congruence and integrity with who you are, doing the things that light you up, doing the things that make you happy, and being able to fulfill your own heart. And like I was saying, it is that feeling of feeling overly responsible for the happiness of others around us, where we end up continually recreating and creating again and again situations that aren't aligned for us, that aren't, maybe we're attracting people into our life that don't truly value who we are or our authentic self. And if you've lived a life of that, if you felt like you weren't accepted for who you were as a child, and this can be a deep wound for many of us, we all have different versions of that, and often it's through the misunderstandings of our child's perception where these stories can be created, but these stories end up running our life, and we keep recreating the same wounds, the same events, hoping that we can change the circumstance. But if unconsciously we're not even aware of what's actually driving us, creating those circumstances and taking us into those situations where we continually attract either the job where we're not valued for who we are, or perhaps the partners that don't truly value who we are or want us to be different, it's often because of these deep-seated beliefs and deep-rooted situations and emotions that have gone deep into the subconscious that we're not even consciously aware of until you start really doing deep inner work around this and healing this and allowing yourself to rise up and really acknowledge who you are, what you want, and having the courage to really step into that and own that and express that. And honestly, that can be pretty terrifying when we first do that, because the very foundations that we've built our life upon get pretty shaky. And if you're burnt out and exhausted in that process, it's imperative that you get emotional support and physical support whilst you move through that process, because often it can be, and I certainly experienced this for myself, where it feels like your entire life is like literally just being stripped away from you. Now, I don't mean to freak you out. That was my experience, but simply because I had ignored my feelings, I had ignored how I was living, I had ignored my own unhappiness. I was aware that I was unhappy, but I had not chosen to step into full responsibility and do something about that, because I was stuck in some of those old beliefs and old thoughts of this was just the way it had to be. So I hope that's really served you guys and really helped. Please let me know. Like I said, please reach out if that is you. If you're feeling signs and symptoms of burnout, you're noticing that you're extra negative, or you've got that negative looping when you're normally a pretty dynamic, self-motivated or self-driven person, it can be really debilitating, and we lose a lot of confidence in who we are and how we're showing up when those things start to happen. We really can question, well, God, what's wrong with me? I should just be able to pull it together. And I did have the experience, and I'll just share this quickly as well. Hey, Bev. I went to the doctors the other day. I was getting some follow-up blood tests. I've been doing a lot around my own adrenal health lately, like working on that. It's been a working project, a work in progress, for a long time, but it kind of got ramped up again just over this last 6 months. And I went and got blood tests, and at the moment my cortisol, my estrogen, my progesterone and testosterone levels are really quite low. I went and got standard blood tests from the doctors, just checking out thyroid, only the TSH though, not T3, T4, and a couple of the other ones, which are really, really important to know. So it was just like standard run-of-the-mill blood tests, and the doctor's like, no, you're perfectly healthy, your bloods are perfect. And so if you're experiencing fatigue, it must be your mental health. Now, thank God I am wise enough to know myself and to know that if I am physically exhausted, if I am, overgiving or not listening to what's right for me, then I know that that is absolutely going to impact my mental and emotional state. And all of those, she's not incorrect in saying that, because our mental thoughts definitely impact our physical energy. And I agree with that 100%. But to write a blanket statement on a very small amount of testing, on a very limited amount of testing, and on testing, in fact, that is not indicative of optimal health. Let's just be clear, like what they're actually testing for. They're testing for the pathology that indicates a state of you're already in a state of disease. Now, it's not like a light switch. It's not that 1 minute you're perfectly healthy, feeling vibrantly energetic and alive and excited about life, and next minute we flick a switch and now you're in a state of disease. As you can imagine, there is a big, wide gap in that. And so for somebody to say you're in perfect health because of that, that's based upon such a small indicator, and I know what else is going on in my body. I've had like severe allergies, you know, lots and lots of different stuff kind of going on, and I am getting well, and it's really exciting. And it's really important to be an advocate for your health, and not to, my heart just broke because I thought, gosh, how many people are in this situation that go to the doctors going, I just don't feel right, only to be told that their bloods are perfectly fine. Now, my 17-year-old daughter had exactly the same experience literally a month ago. She had perfect bloods and was told exactly the same thing. You know, you've got perfect bloods, you're in perfect health. And yet her hair analysis, which is doing some functional testing at the deeper level, indicated that she's very adrenally fatigued at the moment. Yes, as a 17-year-old. And so again, like, we're not getting the full picture always. So it's really important to work with somebody that knows at the deeper level, and that's not to be dismissive of Western medicine or anything else. Everything has its right place. It's just make sure that you're really informed with the information that you're actually getting, and how that kind of indicates where you're at. For me, it was a great indicator of, hey, I'm heading in the right direction, because if those sorts of bloods were also out, then that also lets me know, hey, I've got some other areas to look at or to take care of. But really, really important to really understand the information that you're getting and what else could be going on for you that's impacting your health. Because if you get told you're in perfect health, but you do not feel healthy, and you do not feel vibrant, and you do not feel excited and joyous in your life, there is something else going on underneath all that, either on a physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual level. And often they are all deeply, deeply interlinked, because if we're feeling great in our physical body, it's much easier to feel excited about life or to think better emotionally and mentally. And again, if mentally and emotionally we're feeling great, and we know how to rewire our brain, and we know how to think in and focus on the things that we want to create, rather than worrying and stressing about the things that we don't want to create, or worried about situations and continue in that stress, then that's going to impact the physical body as well. So it's all deeply interlinked, but just be informed very clearly as well. Hey Tales, great to have you on, Hunt. Loads of love to you all, and please have an amazing day. And like I said, please reach out to me if you are finding that you really are stuck in some paradigms or stuck in some beliefs where, you know, I can't just be me. I would really upset people if, you know, I said I didn't want to do this, where you're feeling that you have to make these decisions because you feel obligated, or you don't want to let people down, or you're just feeling really stressed about everything that's kind of going on at the moment. You know that you're not right, both mentally, emotionally, or physically. You know, there's some stuff going on for you where it's really hard for you to think positively. Please reach out and let's have a conversation. The other thing, if there is somebody that you love deeply and you care about, and you know that they're experiencing something similar to this, or you've had those conversations, please share this video with them. Let's get the word out so that more people are really informed about what's actually really going on for them as they move into some of those situations, because you are so worthy of love. You are so worthy of acceptance. You're lovable, valuable, whole, complete, exactly the way you are. And it's time to really be you, and to allow yourself, to give yourself permission to step in and do the things that really light your heart up, that produce well-being and flow and joy and happiness for you. You deserve it, you're worthy of it, and it's available to you right now. Have an amazing day, guys. Loads of love and so much gratitude. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.